Hey guys, got another video for today, and today we're in Modern Warfare 2. And I'm just going to go through a quick settings guide, particularly for sort of players more sort of like coming from Battlefield, mostly PC. There might be some little controller stuff in there, but yeah. So firstly, we're going to go into keyboard and mouse. Obviously, you know, PC player, you want to be using mouse, keyboard, controller, using controller. Mouse sensitivity. Now, this is not the same. This is not the same as Battlefield 5, let's say. That's what I've been recently playing. In Battlefield 5, my aim is my sensitivity is 7% at 800 DPI. In this game, it's obviously the conversion is different. You know, obviously you have to measure your sense. You know, if you play on PC, you should be doing this regularly. But you know, your centimeters for a 360, that's roughly 5.25. That's what I play on. Yes, you want to be putting yours in there. ADS sensitivity multiplier, so this essentially like 100% ADS speed from Battlefield, so you know your ADS speed will be exactly the same as your hipfire. You can go into ADS sensitivity transition. I use instant, so what this does is applies the sensitivity multiplier immediately when aiming down sights. This is what I tend to use in Call of Duty, so you know I will sort of suggest that. ADS sensitivity multiplier, I would leave that at 1, so it'd be the same as that setting. ADS sensitivity type, I use this relative, so it's pretty much like a uniform soldier aiming in Battlefield. So I would suggest using that. Monitor coefficient, so that's, you know, again like USA in Battlefield 1.33, 1.33, so it'd be the same as Battlefield where you can use 1.78. You know, use whatever you use. Custom sensitivity per zooms, you can actually like customize your sensitivity on the different 1x or 2x or, you know, different sensitivities. I just leave everything on 1 so everything is consistent. But you know, if you like the snipers a bit slower, a bit faster, you know, do whatever you want. Vertical aim axis, I wouldn't mess about with that. Mouse calibration, make sure mouse acceleration's off, or smoothing, filtering, mouse delay. You know, if you wanna, I leave this at default, but if you like a bit more snappier mouse wheel or blah blah blah, you know, change that. Gameplay toggle. That's personal preference. Prone behavior toggle. Yeah, this is all. So the rest is sort of personal preference. Movement advanced settings. Now in this game they have like another sub menu within the menu. I don't know why, but it's always worth checking in here. But most of it's just personal preference, and this is what I use. Yeah. Aim down sights, you know, hold. Is there anything worth mentioning here? Toggle weapon mount. Armor plate, I use apply all. When you press the, you know, put the armor on, you just tap it once and it just continues to apply plates after plate. It's maybe not for multiplayer, but for, you know, when Warzone comes out, that's a nice set to have on. Again, you know, there's this another sub menu here. Combat advanced settings, depleted ammo switch. Again, you know, just make sure you check these settings, the whatever's in here. I think this is all what I use. Again, you know, it's all personal preference. Keybinds, you know, you can set your own keybinds. Everything's default except for prone and crouch, which I have on the mouse buttons. Again, you know, there's another sub menu here, so you know, make sure you go in there to set up all your things. There's nothing to note really there. Advanced keybinds, again, you know, it's got weapon inspect, that's pretty cool. You know, match your Battlefield stuff. And I think that's it for the keyboard and mouse. Controller, you know, if you're a controller user, you know, set it up to, you usually like in Battlefield I use like on control I use 70%, so I usually use like 7 in game, or 6. Take it down slight. That's what I've always used in Call of Duty. Sort of, if it's 70%, use 7 or 6. If you use 60% in game, use 6 or 5. That sort of, and that seems to work for me quite well. So I would suggest doing that. Is there anything else? Vibration off. Advanced. Keep that on. It's the aim assist there. Aim assist type, I just have it on default. I think that's really all I'm going to mention for this video. Maybe might make another one in the future when I get a bit more time on controller. And graphics, display mode, full screen exclusive. All these should be default. Set your monitor refresh rate, display resolution, 1080p for me. Aspect ratio, VSync off. That will increases latency and input lag, so I'd always have that off in any FPS game. Custom frame limit, this is what I have. Gameplay just set to 300. For the menus I have 60, set it to 60 FPS. You don't want your GPU and your PC just absolutely maxing out here like 200, 300 FPS when you're sat in the menus. It just doesn't make sense. So just lock it to 60, it's fine. Out of focus, 30 FPS. In Battlefield 5, if you sort of alt tabbed, it's set to 10 FPS, so you could even do that if you really wanted to. Shaders, brightness, quality, so I have a custom settings. Everything will be low, or the lowest you can put. Render resolution is 100% at 1080p. I have experienced every time I try and load the game that this sometimes goes down to 37%. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you will be having to alter this setting a lot to 100% to your native res. Just to let you know. Upscaling, sharpening. I have seen people that use Fidelity FX CAS and use 100%. Particularly if you're at like 1080p and you want a bit of sort of sharpness for some sharpness, a bit of visibility. And it doesn't really affect performance from my testing. I need like 2 FPS, I think, on average. I'll probably put like a screen on there or something. But I use it off, to be honest, because I'm just used to 1080p and the blurriness with the forced anti-aliasing. But if you want a bit of clarity, use that 100%. Anti-aliasing, I use SMA 2X. Anti-aliasing low. Video 85%. Very low. Everything on the lowest you can get it. Everything on stream texture. Yep, everything. I just scroll down if you want to copy it. In NVIDIA reflex low latency, I just have it on. I don't use boost. I think sometimes in games it's just better to have it on. So for the time being, would suggest just have it on and not boost. But depth of field, have it off, because if you look at the comparison here, you can see the blurriness around the weapon and stuff like that when you're ADS'd, where when it's off, you see in this picture it's all nice and clear, you can see enemies, and that's the only reason why you should use it. Motion blur, again, same sort of reason, have it off. You don't want that, look at that, you don't want that, you want to be able to see people. Weapon motion blur, does that really matter? I don't know, but motion blur does affect performance, so I'll just have it off. Film grain, yeah, get that off, 0%. Just makes everything look just all grainy and visually noisy, I would say. And I'm not sure if you can see that on the comparison there, but yeah, it doesn't look good. View, graphics view, field of view. Now in Battlefield 5, I do have it lower. I have it set to 95. But for Call of Duty, it's usually faster paced, bloody blah. I usually have it higher. So in previous Call of Duty titles I would run 110, but for this game, you know, it's a bit slower. Visually it's a bit noisier. It's quite hard to see people, so I have lowered it down to 105, but that's what I'm playing with at the minute. So I suggest, you know, maybe sort of lowering it down, just because the game plays slower and it's harder to see people. So you don't necessarily need that higher peripheral vision, I would argue. Sort of similar to Battlefield 5 in a sense. ADS field of view affected. So this is like ADS FOV on. So you don't get that zoom like ADS FOV off, which would be independent. If you play ADS FOV on, affected. If you play off, independent. Weapon field of view. So I've been playing about with this, seeing exactly what is going on. So narrow the weapon's sort of shorter and wider. And if you set to wide, if you look at this picture here, the weapon's longer and thinner. You can sort of see the comparison between it. I'll show you some screens now. You can see the comparisons, but I just set it to default and just leave it. I don't really think. I think it's more personal preference, to be honest. Third person I just have that stock default. Vehicle field of view. So again, that's probably like the weapon field of view, where everything's thin. I'd probably say, if anything, you're using a weapon, that probably makes sense to use wide. If you're a vehicle player or love using vehicles, I'd probably say use wide, maybe. First person camera movement, least. Get out of that. I wish you could lower that, really, but third person again, the same. Helmet cam, blah blah blah, whatever you want. Audio. I'm still messing about with this, but I think headphones is still pretty good. Master volume 100. Music, you know, sort of personal preference. If you want 100% music blasting in the background, you know, you do you. You know, for me, I just like the silence. Speakers, you know, just default. Subtitles. I in regards to subtitles, I have them all off, because I just don't like subtitles going off in the game while I'm playing a multiplayer game and stuff like that. Just sort of cluttering the screen and stuff. I just have them all off. But, you know, single player, you know, I do like subtitles and stuff. Again, if you do use subtitles, there's all different text sizes and, you know, blah blah blah. Voice chat. I do have voice chat on. I don't necessarily use it, so I use push to talk, but it is quite entertaining, I'm not gonna lie. And it is funny. It is very funny. So I suggest this is my settings, where you can hear other people raging and stuff like that. On all lobby, push to talk, so people can't hear you, or only when you press the button. Voice chat 100%. Microphone system, mute yourself when connecting, and anything like that. And I think that's it for the audio. Interface. I think everything's default here except for a few exceptions. Again, you can, you know, like Battlefield, you can customize your colours and stuff like that. So you press that, you can, you know, use got different filters. You know, if you're sort of colorblind, like myself, I'm colorblind. I have a red deficiency, which is, you know, protanopia. I think that's how you say it. But, you know, for me, I just use default, and that's fine for me. But it's always nice to have, and you can sort of mess about and tweak them, and, you know, over time get really good colors and stuff like that. Subtitles again is in here. Okay. HUD 100%. Yeah, so minimap shape, I like the square one. Reason why is you get more information on the minimap. You know, circle, just the circle's volume, you just can't get. You would miss all the people, little rat hiding spots in the corners and stuff. So that's why I use square. mini-map rotation. This is sort of personal preference. I like the map to rotate to my position, sort of thing. I understand some people dislike that, but it's all personal preference. Crosshairs on. Center dot off. You can put this on, but
50 seconds.
I just prefer the default like that. That's all I prefer. It is a bit floaty and looks like crosshair projection, like if you're familiar with Battlefield 2042. But for me, that's all good. Players' names. I use abbreviated. I was playing with this the other day. I don't like the full name where you can see the clan and stuff like that. So I just use abbreviated, which will be just that one. Which, you know, I just don't like the clutter on the screen with stuff like that. But telemetry, I have them all on, every single one, just so you can see I'm messing about there. I just have everything on. You can set to custom, but yeah, have everything on. You can turn them on individually here if you would like to. Just because I'm testing FPS and all that sort of stuff and how my PC reacts to this game, you know, I have for the minute have everything on. Connection meter, network graphs, you know, again, you know, like Battlefield, I have them all on. It's got like packet loss, latency variation, all the good stuff. Yeah, account, you know, you can import your settings. I don't think there's really much here, and I think that's it. Yeah, hopefully I've helped a few people out, particularly if you come from Battlefield. There's a lot of sort of similar settings from Battlefield, but sort of named differently or portrayed differently. Yeah, subscribe if you like to. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I helped you out, and I'll see you boys in the next one.